Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's edition of Beyond the Ordinary Show. And y'all, today we have Alejandro Lazaro, who's going to be sharing his gifts of astral mapping with us, which is part of what we're going to talk about. But we're also really going to tune in and really receive the love that he brings in as an intuitive astrologer and channeling messages so that we can be aware and receptive to these waves of consciousness and opportunities that are available to us. If we know how to tune in, we have the capacity to amplify and work with it in the most powerful way. So, Alejandro, it's been a while since he's been on the show. I'm glad that he's back, and I know that you guys are going to fall in love with him. So, we'll open up to Q&A in a little bit. There's a special offer for private readings. We'll go through all of that, y'all. You can click on the link if you want the special offer and book it now. But I promise that we're going to have lots of time and opportunity to dive into Alejandro's wisdom and guidance and for you to receive a gift, again, the gift that Alejandro is. And with that, Alejandro, welcome to the call.
Hey John, it's so great to be here.
Mm,
It's so, we were just talking a few minutes before connecting about how lucky you and I are to live in these kind of tropical places. We're a little spoiled.
mm,
And so I'm connecting today from Los Angeles. And I just feel so inspired recently, John. With the turning of a lot of events around us. It's a moment I think, which is what I'm really channeling is I'm feeling a huge invitation towards your community, my community, our community, specifically this year, to kind of step into, I think, what we've been inspired by. John, for me, you're an enormous expander. And
thank
I look to you, you inspire me enormously. And I feel that this year is gonna be an opportunity. As I'm saying, I'm feeling it so clearly that your community, like I'm saying, our community is gonna get a chance to step into the action of this wisdom they've been learning. I see them literally using their bodies and their voices in new ways that before they only thought was accessible by tuning into Beyond the Ordinary or checking in with me on their astral mapping. And
mm.
so this new year 2025, we have our first lunar new year in a couple of days. Actually, it happens tomorrow, and then on the third we have 3rd of February is that big shift into green wood snake. And so I'll talk a little bit about kind of my inspirations with Chinese zodiac a little bit later, but it was just to kind of introduce what I'm feeling is this call again to action from our community.
I really appreciate that uh, because I'm feeling that very strongly as well. There's a deep awareness of this expansion that's taking place. And yes, for our own experience of knowing ourselves in ways that we haven't before that are more refined and more anchored into our connection to ourselves and the light that we bring rather than the separation of who we believe that we're not. And in that, there's an application that's coming through because there's circumstances that are happening around the world that are calling forward that we apply that wisdom in ways that are really going to serve us, not from a scare tactic or a sacrifice, but really where we get to like step in and really get to experience who we have become rather than thinking who we still have to become. It's a big shift in energy, and it's a call for our type of communities to be emboldened to share that wisdom because the world is ready for it.
John, they're ready.
Mhm.
They're ready. And as I'm saying, you and I are tapping into how our communities are ready. They're
Right.
ready to kind of step into I think channeling their own. As I was saying, I'm physically seeing them with their bodies and their voices. I'm also seeing a shift. which is something that as I was kind of preparing and meditating on what I wanted to kind of share today, I got a message about the outer planets, the luminaries, kind of Neptune and Uranus. And so what happens is that in astrology, we like to focus on the vitality of the sun, which is soul energy, Moon emotions, Venus the way we love, Mars the way we take action. And then by the time we get to Jupiter, which is expansion, and oh man, Jupiter is going to be at the top of our conversation today, which is benevolent abundance and expanding and growing. And so the outer luminaries right now are in a position, John, that we haven't seen since the late 60s.
Mm.
And so this is incredible. What an opportunity. We're seeing Uranus, which is this kind of out of nowhere electrical divine electricity messenger, is going to be talking to Neptune, who essentially the ruler of Pisces, we know a little bit about that, is
Mm.
our guide of spirituality. So again, new opportunity to engage in spirituality. John, I'm seeing our communities being able to do this more and more online, which is what Uranus is kind of talking to me about. When I look in the late 60s, I'm inspired by the Beatles, the age of Aquarius coming, kind of this free love. And so
Mm.
that kind of inspiring energy, John, is on our horizon. So this summer, next fall, and then in the next 2 years. So again, we're in a moment of receiving the inspiration and then now being able to have an outlet and channel.
Mm. Amazing. I love what you're tuning into and how they're speaking to you in that way. Um, what is happening also, and I want to get to the astral mapping also, because how
Of course.
important it is and relevant it is for all of us to really tune in and see where energies are amplified or maybe even contracted that serve. It all serves in different forms
Yeah.
and for different reasons. But to have
Yeah.
an understanding that's really important. So I want to get into that in a little bit. But there's something that you're bringing in here
Yeah.
also, which is a culmination and a transition that we're going through. And at the end of the year, we went through a really powerful retrograde season. And we've been navigating it, and it feels like there's been a suspended state of things that are coming into retribution, conclusion, reconciliation, and deeper wisdom about the things that we've held on to or have had relationship with, and how we are having a different perspective around our interpretation of how we've been holding things, how we've been interacting with it. And I'm curious what you are seeing um, from your navigation as to how we've been integrating that retrograde season and how it's culminating in this coming spring.
Thank you, John. I love how you're able to tap in and kind of feel what I think the larger consciousness, right, is feeling. I think this is such a gift that I look so much towards you, and specifically the retrogrades. It's such an interesting phenomena. As these kind of, I love to take a step back and really understand that the relevance of astrology, this beautiful spiritual language, is to understand the potentials of the universe, right? How are we divine and also how are we shadow? And for me recently, I've been tapping into this wisdom of knowing we are these vessels, and then these kind of astrological signs are these archetypes that come into our vessels. They express themselves in light form or in shadow. Both are equal. God loves all, right? We can kind of feel into that. And so let's put ourselves in this beautiful moment, this vessel where that we can kind of channel these archetypes. And then we ask, what is the relevance of a retrograde? Why do I need to go backwards? When I'm looking in the sky, where it appears that the planets are moving backwards, but it's really just kind of a play on illusion.
Mm.
And John, essentially, when Mercury, the planet of the mind, is spinning backwards in the sky, it's a moment to rewind the tapes. it's a moment to be in a space where you're welcome to revisit, right? This beautiful retrograde revisit. And so in December, John, we found ourselves with four luminaries in retrograde. Mercury, the mind. We had Uranus, as I was saying, these electrical kind of messages. Jupiter, the planet of abundance and good fortune, and Mars, masculinity, which is pick up things and kind of move forward. So that perception you had, you nailed it, which was this kind of stagnant energy we've been feeling, specifically these last few weeks. I would
Mm,
go into kind of since probably October, but if we can kind of really feel into specifically the Mercury retrograde of December, tomorrow Uranus goes direct. On the 3rd, Jupiter goes direct. And on the
mm,
23rd of February, Mars goes direct. Spring is gonna be time of action, John. We're gonna feel it. And I feel like even just this week that I know Uranus and Jupiter, I'm like, okay, we're getting the luminaries back on our sides. And I wanna invite us in these last few days. Mars has about 2 to 3 weeks left to allow ourselves specifically, we're gonna maybe channel Jupiter and Mars is what actions am I being called to revisit again, whether it be
mm,
relationships or work. And then with Jupiter is what are you willing to ask for again that in the
mm.
past maybe was manifested in a different form, right, John? Because the universe has a peculiar way of sharing with us, giving with us, taking from us.
I would even suggest for this Jupiter cycle that we dare to ask bigger. It's asking us,
Wow. Wow.
how audacious can we be with what we believe the divine can give to us?
Wow. That's powerful. I'm taking that in, John.
Yes, I think we
I'm
all
taking
should.
that in. That's wonderful. Yeah. Yeah.
So raise those standards. Keep them coming. That's I
You know,
and
and I think, tell me.
oh, after you, go
Yeah.
ahead, please.
No, please, please.
No, I was gonna say, and truly, I believe that big asking, thinking bigger, being bigger, calling that within ourselves and within others, that is ultimately the shift that we are all hoping to experience and what's going to create it. Because this whole environment of apathy and waiting for things to happen to see how we're going to react, it's obviously a model that isn't serving us anymore.
Yeah. And I think, it's interesting because we've had a couple, I don't know, I guess because we're on the eve of the new Lunar New Year, and I'm feeling into how these past few wood years,
Mm,
I love how I've read into how even just the renaissance of artificial intelligence, everything that's coming with AI, and
mhm,
supposedly this next year is going to be a newer integration of that. And so, John, it was just such a ping when you just said um, how we're really kind of in a moment of taking back our action because
mhm,
the waiting and the passivity, I think, is a response. Is a response. We
mhm,
can get into descriptions of kind of nervous system responses or fear. Because again, John, I think it's interesting. I find myself in these times of kind of upheaval and uncertainty being able to do something I love, which is come and be with somebody, have a
mhm,
conversation, allow for the abdomen to soften, the chest. Like there's something where I'm seeing it for our community. We're gonna take that action to reconnect.
mhm. Amazing what's coming through on that. Um, there's so many opportunities, and I love the way that you're mapping this out, and as far as a collective and for the journal, and I know that you do this in in sessions as an intuitive astrologer,
Yeah.
for mapping out what's coming up, what's possible interpretations to really elevate potentiality. And I'd love it if you just tell us a little bit about your gift as an intuitive astrologer and how you bring astral mapping into that.
Amazing. Thank you, John. I have the soul of a Sagittarius. So my DNA, spiritual DNA is very attuned to the foreign and to travel. And since I was young, I've had a passport and a lot of good fortune with my family to travel around the world and to study even during university in Europe. And it just kind of all came together, and my fascination with astrology then, coupled with, wow, look at all this possibility. And so exactly what you said, the key word here is going to be potential. And so I was able to kind of tap into this system that I can see essential meridians. And the way I like to describe meridians, John, is essentially um, lines that have specific planetary luminary energy. I'm talking about vitality of the sun. John, in Kauai, I have the most beautiful Venus line. And I
Oh,
remember
nice.
when I was in my mid 20s that I discovered astro mapping. I That was my first kind of message, my first download of sorts from Venus herself. I was invited to Kauai and I had just this beautiful moment to explore this meridian. I was, I'm inspired by your backyard of you get to go hiking and the waterfalls. And so John, specifically for me, I've chosen to live in Los Angeles because of this gorgeous Neptune meridian I have, which is connects me to my spiritual essence in life. Also, I have some Venus here as well. And then more specifically in my sessions, it kind of even stops being about the astrological archetypes and more about kind of the potentials of, is there love here? Is there work here? And then also we can get more specific with the transits. I had a friend that was looking to move. I was able to kind of match and figure out, oh, this meridian, this transit, and then also destinations. Maybe somebody wants to know where they should, commit to their lover, or possibly throw a conference of sorts. I have some lines in Colorado that hopefully one day I'll manifest that type of energy.
Amazing. I love how it comes through. And I know in the mapping, there's points as like why there's tension here and why you're more focused on business instead of relationships. Why some are about going internal and not really about being in community. Why other places are like all about building community and networking and all that. So it's really interesting. And even family dynamics that come up through
Yeah,
particular things. And when you talk about LA,
yeah,
it's like I'm aware that I have a zenith point just south of LA also.
yeah, yeah.
Remember that? And the zenith
I
point, that's like
do.
one of those exalted places for that particular line, right?
Yes, correct, correct. And also, John, I'm remembering from your mapping that you have this gorgeous energy, and it's incredible that you did that phenomenal project in Egypt. I mean, when I was revisiting your lines and I saw this destiny line, I mean, where your soul is heading and what you can share, I was kind of like, okay, I love when these things creep up on us and the connections are even made post, right?
I remember that session you said you've got something around the Saudi area. It's in the Middle East. I'm like, I don't know what that is. And then some
Yeah,
3 years later, it manifested, not because
yeah.
Alejandro said, and that's where I need to be and I need to focus. It just all landed in this amazing
Yeah,
thing that got articulated from
yeah,
listening to guidance and following the
yeah,
energy of those lines that have a magnetic pull for certain destination points for us, which is amazing.
yeah, yeah.
Um, it's I think we should get into some readings. I think y'all need to experience this. If y'all want to
Do
raise
it,
your hands,
do
ask questions, we'll
it.
start promoting y'all to to be able to ask live questions. But before we do that, Alejandro, is there anything that stands out in the astrology or even in the astro mapping that you feel is specifically poignant to bring at this time for an awareness of how not we can prepare for the worst, but so that we can really be in the energy of how we can participate in an empowered way.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm immediately thinking to how what we were opening up and speaking about these like outer luminaries that in this
Mm.
next 2-year cycle is gonna remind us of the late 60s. um to even start there and look at where people's Uranus is, if people are lost, and where's that kind of first step of even inspiration. Because I think what it's such a holistic, intuitive process. And John, I'm remembering our sessions. They're fun conversations. It's interactive.
It's very interactive. It's a lot of fun. And you have such enthusiasm that you bring into each of the sessions. And I am blown away that you remember my chart and the way that you, because it's been a couple of times that your capacity to retain all that is really impressive. All right, y'all, let's dive in and have some fun with Alejandro as we go through your charts. Um, your last name is Bird. I don't know how to pronounce your first name. If you'll say it out loud for me, I'd be honored to be able to honor you in that way.
Hello, John. It's Emily.
Semele. Hi, Semele. Welcome to the.
Yes. Hello. Boy, I didn't even think I'd be watching live tonight, and it just happened, and I just knew I needed to hit that button. So I don't know. So, Alejandro, I'm 73 years old. I'm in Florida. It's okay where I
So,
am.
so
There
let's
are,
start with your birthday, Samel. Let's
oh,
start there. So,
okay.
so
August
great to have you
30th.
this evening.
Thank you. August 30th, 1951. I'm originally from La Cañada, so you probably know where that is if you're from LA.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. And I lived around Mexico, other places, but I've been in Florida a long time.
Okay.
And it's not home. It's not home. It's got a lot
Yeah,
of advantages, and I have a lot of connections, but I keep feeling I need to head back west, but I don't
yeah.
know. And I have a son that moved down to Baja. I have a son in Ventura County.
Let's see what Alejandro brings in with your
So
birthday.
it's like,
So,
I know I'm pretty sure I need to move, but nothing
amazing.
feels right. I craving
Okay.
nature, and to get nature in these places just seems phenomenally
Yeah.
expensive. So
Let's
what do
let
I
Alejandro,
really need?
let's let Alejandro drop
Yeah,
in.
So, Semele, do you
yeah.
do you have a birth hour by chance?
2:11 a.m.
Amazing.
in Glendale. So
Yeah, perfect.
It's surprisingly quick the way he pulls this up. It's impressive.
I'm amazed. I'm just feeling like
Emily,
really.
I'm seeing an emotional block, and I'm seeing a block to your divine masculine on the East Coast. So
Mm,
I in my sessions, I love to delve into the idea that we have this perfect balance between divine femininity and divine masculine. And
mhm.
the East Coast puts you in your toxic masculine.
Hmm.
And so you're required. I mean, when you said nature earlier, Semele, I mean, this is it's not easy to get to nature where you are. And these lines, it's incredible what I'm seeing here. There's a very big block here. Let me see what I can guide you. So you were talking about Baja for your son.
Yes. And the other son's Ventura County.
You have Venus, Aphrodite on the West Coast. She's blessing you with the
Hmm.
chance to, I think, get outside. I, as a SoCal resident, am always outside. Unfortunately, we did have some crises these last few
Yes.
weeks. That being said, it's even cleared up, and so anyways, I'm getting a download. West Coast is gonna connect you to the nature that you need. I see more balanced femininity on the West Coast for you?
Oh, that's interesting.
What other places can I look for you, Semele?
Up the coast towards Santa Cruz.
So all of that West Coast, I'm seeing really nice thumbs up. Again, with regard to mental clarity, I see
Yeah.
your mind good there.
Mm.
I also see you, again, there's a connection to nature, but I don't know if it's maybe your sons that you get to spend time with them, but a little bit more love there, Semele.
Yeah.
I,
Oh,
you know,
that's
I do know why you are where you are though on the East Coast. Um, I feel like you had an invitation of sorts. It could have been like emotional connection. Um, but again, for now, what I'm seeing is that block on the East Coast, again, with regard to your divine masculinity, you feeling kind of confident, not really receiving that Venus nature connection. And then I'm seeing more potential on the West Coast, Emily.
okay. It's interesting because I live in a rural setting on 3 and some acres, and I'm afraid of giving up the nature I live in. And yet I don't get to enjoy the bigger, like that energy of the West nature.
Yeah.
It just feels weird. It feels off. So, okay.
Yeah.
So you're seeing it kind of anywhere along that coast.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
similarly, you may
And
want to drop into a private session with Alejandro also,
Yeah.
so you can go over into.
thank you, John.
Okay.
uh,
Thank you very, very much.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Blessings.
Oh,
I
such a
don't mean to cut
pleasure.
you short.
Thank
I
you,
just
John.
I need to get to other
No,
people. I promise. Yeah.
You're
I
good, John.
appreciate
We
it.
love you.
There's a couple of questions that came in. I was remiss in not asking this, so I really appreciate that these questions are coming in. I'm going to take more live callers, so I promise I'm going to get to you. But David Smith is asking what the forecast is for the year of the snake. We brought that in, but we didn't really elaborate.
John, we have 4 eclipses this year.
Mm.
We have 2 in March, lunar and solar. So we can expect again a little bit of that, or not a little bit, a lot of that kind of momentum that we were touching upon at the beginning um, of our talk is really going to find even more kind of boom and explosion March. And then they come around again in August. So we have 4 eclipses, John, and then the main theme, again, which I'm gonna really, dive deep on this, Uranus and Neptune, so out of nowhere receiving messages, spiritual messages, and then again that action that you were talking about, John. I'm seeing action this year, fire.
Amazing, amazing. So we'll go to that. Penny wrote in, April or Chris, can you do me a favor and check the special offer and make sure that the links are working properly? She said she went in to click the link and it went away for some reason. You may have been talking about the video, Penny. I don't know, but we want to check the special offer. And April, Chris, while you're at it, go ahead and put the link for the special offer in the chat box also, and y'all can start checking that out. We're going to go through it in a little bit. Um, as we go into that also, Raphael is asking how someone can apply their astral mapping in their daily life. Great question.
John, for me, it's about staying inspired. For me, inspiration means connection, and connection is ultimately everything that I'm always looking for. If I'm trying to manifest, as you and I were kind of beginning to tap into Jupiter, as we were, as we're looking to ask for even bigger dreams this year of the snake, I look to astrocartography to guide me, whether it's I'm inspired to take a trip. I'm checking the lines, the potential, whether it's day-to-day life. Um, it's really understanding the potentials. I can probably check my transits to see if something is feeling off. That's kind of one of my favorite texts to get. What's happening today? Why are things off? And to kind of ground again into the meditation of these archetypes and in the potential. So it's less about it being perfectly right and divination, and it's more about, oh, I'm this fluid being and things come in and they feel good. And so today I'm channeling my Venus meridian. There's a nice Venus, and to understand that could be practical.
Mm-hmm. And I think also by tapping into the lines and the awareness of these transits and how our psyche and physicality is in relationship to that. that it also, like you said, it's inspirational because now we're just not stagnant waiting for the stimulus. We're actually being in relationship with the things that are actually stimulating us from a very natural place, not artificially from the media or the news or what's being, the propaganda, whether they're good, bad, indifferent, whatever you want to judge it, doesn't matter. But this is about a natural process within us that we are navigating in alignment with a rhythm that's inside of us. That's just, it's electromagnetic. It, it's a symbiotic relationship that we get to learn how to dance with in ways that we haven't before when we become more attuned to what's possible. So it's
Man, John, I love that.
fascinating what's coming through. All right, y'all, let's go to some more Q&A. Deborah, welcome to the call.
Yeah, thank you so much, John and Alejandro.
Hey, Deborah.
Oh, I'm so excited. I will just tell you, I am like more than green. I don't know anything about this. I was so excited to see
You're in
it.
the perfect place.
I love that.
I know that I am. I just know that.
So, Deborah, let's quickly start with your birthday, and then we can
Okay.
kind of chat a little bit. So, when's your
Right.
birthday?
October 28th, 1954.
And while Alejandro's pulling that up, that reminds me of a quote that I hope it inspires your heart in the greenness. And the quote is, "When nothing is known, everything is possible."
That's perfect, John.
Wow.
I told you once you were the icing. You always are the icing. That
I
is
love
so
being the
perfect.
icing. Yeah.
It's amazing. And Deborah, what city were you born in?
I was born in a small town in Saskatchewan. It's called Herbert, Saskatchewan.
Okay.
The closest, if that doesn't show up, Swift Current,
And
Saskatchewan.
then what time were you born?
That I do not know. And
All
both
right, I'm going to put you universal.
And that's a great point, Alejandro. If someone doesn't know their birth time, there is a universal setting. And
Yes.
how accurate is it if you put in universal? How much of a difference could that potentially make?
You know, John, we're talking about like maybe 50 miles of difference. It's
Okay.
kind of conclusive. I can tap into it. Pretty amazing. So I would say it's pretty much just as accurate. Obviously, with birth time, I can get a little bit more spooky with like numbers and such. That being said, we can still, specifically with friends like Deborah who are green, it's even better because we can kind of, do it together. All right. So Deborah, I'm getting here a message. And so sorry, are you still in that town?
Oh, no, we've lived in Kelowna, British Columbia.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Which is in the Okanagan Valley, but it's like about 5 hours east of Vancouver.
So I'm seeing a gorgeous sun line where you are right now, which is vitality. I'm loving that you're wearing orange as well. So this is already a sign that in the beginning of our reading, it makes me happy to see that you get the sun, right? So the sun is an archetype of vitality and essence. And so I love this already. I love this already. John and I want to tap into a couple friends tonight, and so for you, I wanna ask to kind of keep things in a nice flow. Is there a place that you dream of going? Is there a place that you maybe don't have the best memory that you want me to maybe look quickly? Or let's tap into one location I can share with you tonight.
Ooh, one location. Well, I'd love to travel. I have traveled a little bit, but not in the last probably 15 years. And that's just kind of been a financial crunch.
Okay.
I could tell you my hometown has I have dark memories from my childhood. I don't necessarily care to go there, but
I know.
if you want to, I'd sooner look before we're looking personally.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's something that we could, kind of tap into in a positive way to kind of give the parts in yourself that needed to hear, like that was tough. You have Pluto, who tends to be an intense teacher of sorts.
Mm.
So just, I'm sending you so much love. I feel this warmth in my body.
Thank you.
And I feel so grateful to connect with you, Deborah. This is
Oh,
so
so likewise.
lovely. So I'm happy you're in British Columbia. Yes,
I
I
am
love
too.
this sun energy. She's come into the sun.
It's ski
Oh.
resort in winter and resort for tourists in the summer. We're right on the lake.
Oh, yeah, I love it.
Love
I
it.
love it. I love it so much.
Alejandro, when you're tuned into the mapping and you see that someone's in a place that has had some of those denser, hard type of experiences, are there places that you can look on the map and then say, hey, if you go to this place, it could be a place of replenishment if you go for a vacation or like a battery
Yes.
recharge kind of station so that you can come back more in.
Yes.
I actually have a dream of having a cottage. And I have the question I was actually going to ask, if there was just one, was, am I in the place, I and my husband, are we in the place that we're to be, or are we to be, we've been married for 51 years. It hasn't all been easy because my life was hard. There was a lot of growth that I needed to come to when I found out 20 years ago about stuff. So, but all that aside, yes, we love Kelowna, and pretty well all of our adult children are here. But just open to, is there a better place that we should be, or
Let's
a holiday?
let's see what comes up through Alejandro and then
Yes, thank you,
with
Alejandro.
inspiration and continue. Thank
Deborah,
you.
I'm seeing where you are now, with what I really look for with regard to longevity, with regard to long term, which it sounds like you're in with your husband. And the second thing I look for is the vitality of the sun, and you check both those boxes. So I'm really happy with that. And then I don't know if you've ever been out to Halifax. I don't necessarily know if it's Halifax or potentially that region, or even you could go all the way down to South America. This is going specifically to answer John's question about replenishment. I'm looking here. South America has some spots for you, Deborah, that potentially could tap into what John is talking about with replenishment and nurture and rejuvenation and even spiritual connection.
Beautiful.
Here-
All right. Blessings to you. Thank you.
See you soon, Deborah.
Alejandro, do you ever find that these lines change according to the shifts and frequencies from the Earth? Is that something that's come up as potentials and something that gets mapped differently?
It's less about it getting mapped differently and it being more of, I think, going back to our listener that had asked about the practicality of the day-to-day. You and I were tapping into how the year finished with all those heavy retrogrades. Another thing that we're finishing is some harsher cycles with Saturn, who is karma and time, hard lessons. And so, specifically, if you had any Saturn placements, John, during that time, there is a little bit more of a shakeup. And so coming in, my readings, or excuse me, my sessions, specifically 2025, I'm obsessed with Uranus, as I've been saying. I'm obsessed with Neptune. I'm trying to get people in these spots where they feel that, my work, and it's so interesting how for so long, John, I was searching for the perfect teacher, the perfect mentor. And I've had so many wonderful, I consider you, John, a wonderful mentor. And what happens is you eventually connect with that deep mentor inside, and you can speak so much towards this. And ultimately, John, I consider myself a healer because I want to heal myself, my lineage, create spaces where people can go, I can do that. I can heal myself, right? I think that's what this work's about.
Sign of the future. What a blessing. Thank you for sharing that. All right, let's continue. Wait, what's our time frame here? All right, let's go to some more questions. We'll get into special offer in a second. We're kind of on a roll, so I want to continue here. Suzette, let's go to you. Welcome.
Mute. There we go. Unmute. Thank you so much. How are you? This is really something new to me, so it fascinates me and it feels very exciting. And I was actually born in Scotland, but I do live in Ontario, Canada, St. Catharines. Please. Not where I belong, I'll tell you, it's going to show up. May 30th. I really wanted to move in 2022. May 30th, 1962. So in May and in 2022, I was like refinancing my property here and I really wanted to move. I thought I was going to move. But I couldn't move. I just didn't know where to go because I was torn with stability. And therefore I stayed. So, here's where I am. But I feel like it's restricting me, my growth, but I do feel stable here, but I feel very lonely. My husband did pass away a few years ago, but I have thought about Halifax and I've been drawn to the East Coast in Canada, and that's all I can say. But I do not like
Suzette,
the West Coast.
let's dive in. Such a pleasure to
Okay.
have you tonight.
Thank you.
Can I get your birth hour and
11:38 a.m. in
and
UK
then what
time.
and then what city did you say you're in right now?
St. Catharines,
That's right, St.
Ontario.
Catharines, Ontario.
Yeah.
Suzette, thank you for joining. This is so lovely to have you. Now that we have all this, we can kind of start diving in. Let's look at this Halifax. I just got a ping on that. Let's see what's going on. You have, again, John and I haven't really gotten a chance to dive into the luminary of Jupiter tonight, which is the archetype of abundance and good fortune. And Jupiter's going to be on stage this specific week with a trine to this new moon in Aquarius, this new moon, this new lunar year. We're going into the year of the snake, John and I have been mentioning. So Suzette, right away, Halifax, there's something there for you. There's an expansion. It has to do with your sole purpose. The only thing I see in Halifax is that there's a bit of a difficulty finding a place that you want to be in for a long term. So I'm not necessarily seeing this as a long-term thing. It could be you're visiting for months at a time. It could be something that you're.
You know what I thought?
Tell me.
Okay, so I can stay. So anyways, I can stay in my home for 6 months and I can be somewhere else for 6 months. So I really felt, because I don't like the winters there and I don't like the smallness and the lack of so many great things that are in other parts of the world, I feel like I'm going to spend part of my year there and part here, almost like retreat centered, almost like I feel like I'm going to be a traveling roadshow of some sort, like a little different.
Suzette, you're tapped in. That's it. Right? You're tapped in. That's it. So
yeah.
where you are in Ontario right now, I see. So yeah, you're tapped in. Ontario, where you are right now, I see long-term investments. Don't give up what you have there.
Yes. Yeah. It feels like I could live here to 100.
I do see a block though, sweetie. I see such a block to your spiritual life. I mean, you're one of us. You're one of, you're a healer. You're a clairvoyant like us. And so
I know
those are the big messages I'm getting for you.
Yeah. And a lot of things are happening.
Thanks for tuning in. Oh, this is so lovely.
I don't want to take up the time, but it's right dead on. I just feel you gave me confirmation and all those things are expanding. And I've got a wicked week planned. I'm tapped right into that Jupiter thing. What I'm supposed to do over the next 3 days is phenomenally forward moving and scary shit, but I'm doing it. So I'm totally tapped in and I feel like crying right now. So really, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And this man here,
John, you're born the year of the ox, right? 62 is the ox.
I'm the year of the tiger. I think I'm a tiger. I'm a tiger.
Oh, yeah. All the good fortune on this new year.
Blessings,
love. How wonderful. Wow, I'm so
excited. Put the link for the special offer in the chat box. Y'all, we're going to go through the special offer here and the opportunity to work with Alejandro one-on-one in a 50-minute session. Plus there's other just gold treasures in there as well. We're going to go to in a little bit, but I just have to comment before we get into the details special offer, how animated you all are today. I'm loving it. And it's really in alignment with something that I felt has been opening. And I felt that click in the last couple of days where there's this passion that's coming up again that maybe was dormant or coming into your awareness of itself. I don't know, probably both.
Yeah.
Um, but what's that energy, Alejandro? What is this forward momentum that I'm feeling so clearly here on this call?
You know, I really feel that this conversation around um, the age of Aquarius, right, can feel like such a blanket almost. And I make it practical, and I'm already thinking how we're going from this dragon year in the sky, and we're grounding ourselves into this snake body, hard on the ground, taking action. And uh, and so with regard to again, this month of Aquarius, excuse me, this season of Aquarius zodiac, and then in a larger sense, the true north of the Earth as it spins is pointing into the cosmos now of Aquarius. So we're receiving all these Aquarian downloads connected to Uranus. And so, John, it's this. We're shifting into the groundedness of the action. We've received our messages,
Mhm.
and then we're embodying it now. There's a moment of embodiment. That's what you're feeling.
And there's a wave of that that's happening. And so if you still feel like it hasn't kicked off for you, don't lose hope. It's like it's just churning in different.
We mentioned, John, the retrogrades. I had mentioned the third, Jupiter comes out, and the 23rd Mars, and that's what you, for people who hasn't clicked, if it hasn't clicked yet, like John is saying, it's coming.
And those retrograde have tails also. They kind of linger for a little bit. They're not as strong, but they've got tails too.
Correct.
So good awareness, y'all, to
It's
have.
important to remember.
We're gonna get into some more Q&A, more questions coming in. If you've typed in your question into the web chat, put in your birthday, time of birth, and where you were born, so
Please.
that Alejandro can get to those, because I'd love to get to your chat questions as well, but we need that specific information. And in the meantime, let's dive into the opportunity to work with Alejandro much more deeply. So hopefully you've clicked on the special offer link. It's in the chat box. You also find it on the webpage where you'll see the special offer button where you're watching this call, or if you're on YouTube, go down to the comments section and you'll see the link for the special offer there. And Alejandro, 50 minutes with you, and then what else? So let's go through the whole offer. Tell us what you put together for us.
John, I'm really inspired by bridging meditation with visualizations,
Mm,
mantra. And so in my work, I'm always returning to this conversation of archetype. I'm always returning to this conversation of us being a vessel. And so I'm offering with the session an included 14-minute guided meditation
mm,
that goes from the first chakra all the way to the seventh chakra. And John, it was incredible when I made this just some time ago, and people that I've gotten to work with have have literally told me 7 days they get a message. 14 days they receive an answer, and then 28 days there's like miracle energy. And it's
Oh,
just
wow.
a beautiful moment, whether in the mornings I love to personally do it, and it clears my chakras out. It's
Mm.
a beautiful guided meditation. I put in a lot of effort. There's a lot of love in it. I've received an enormous amount of positive response, and I felt it was just so perfect to share uh, as we're really preparing our vessels for action.
Beautiful. And everything you do is embedded with love. That's you
Oh.
to not be that. So that's amazing. So again, the meditation. There's also a healing broadcast. What's that?
And so, John, I find that I love to stay in, I'm happiest when I'm in contact with my community. I'm happiest when I'm connecting. And so these monthly check-ins, I give kind of like a full moon download of exactly what you and I've been doing today, but more specific with regard to the actual season. And then, you know, it's a chance for people to come on and say, hey, this has been activated, or hey, I'm still waiting for this, or maybe they just need to sit in. So it's a beautiful moment for the community to have access to me again. It's a half hour. And once you connect with me on a reading, you have access to this group. So it's basically for the rest of the year, you have access to the group.
Amazing. So you get the chakra awareness meditation, you get the healing broadcast that you'll have access to, and you get your astral mapping session, which is a 50-minute private one-on-one session with Alejandro. And Alejandro, you just don't get into the astral mapping. You bridge it in so many different ways. I mean, before we get on the call, you're like, you're Jupiter and this is happening, your romantic relationships, and I'm excited for you, and this has come through, and all this, like it's like so epic. So epic. So again, the way that you weave it all with these maps and intelligences, but then with the intuitive guidance that you receive about what's activating from the soul in this particular individual, it's such a gift to be in that energy and understanding of potentials that are activating and actualizing as we're walking forward right now. So amazing. Yeah, all of this is $139. There's a 2 payment option. Hope y'all dive in. It's the time with Alejandro is just amazing. And I can't wait to dive into the meditation also. I've already purchased my session, by the way. I got to get on the calendar and book before y'all take up my dates, though. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Alejandro will make time for all of us. But again, the link for the special offer is in the chat box. It's on the webpage and the special offer button. Or if you're on YouTube, it is in the comments section. Click on that and again, take advantage of this amazing special offer of Alejandro. And with that, y'all, let's go ahead and dive into some more Q&A. Carolyn, let's go with you. Welcome to the call.
Hello.
Carolyn.
Hi.
Welcome.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Hi. Okay, so I hope you can. I'm in the outback of Australia at the moment, so I might be cut off in a minute. But so I'm a New Zealander though, and I was born in a place called Dargaville, New
Okay.
Zealand, on the 2nd of the 10th,
Okay.
1961
Sorry, the 2nd of
October.
October.
Yeah.
1971, you said.
No, 61.
61. Okay.
Yeah.
And you happen to know your time? Birth hour?
I think it's the afternoon, but I'm not 100%.
Amazing. And then
No, I don't know.
Perfect. Let me look here. And so I cut you off. You were saying that you're currently in Australia. You were saying you're currently in Australia?
I'm in Australia. Yes, I am. So I come with my husband. He works in the outback in Australia. So I come over with him from time to time. But I want to know, should we be back in New Zealand?
Okay.
Or should we be doing this fly in, fly out?
So, great question, Carolyn. I'm so happy you've tuned in today. I am seeing that there, I'm looking for something, the longevity meridian for you in New Zealand is missing. So I'm seeing more of a back and forth with regard to like having just a stability in New Zealand. I'm missing those lines to be able to say that to you. So I'm going to lean into what you were saying, which is the sharing time, the back and the forth.
Yes. Okay.
This is what I'm seeing here.
Okay. And Alexandro, is there anywhere in particular in Australia that we should be?
So it looks to me that the coasts, either Perth or Sydney, Melbourne, just stay away from the middle is what I'm hearing, is what I'm seeing.
That's where I am at the moment.
I need you in Perth, or I need you in Sydney. Start.
Awesome.
There you go.
Oh,
All right,
thanks for
blessings,
calling in,
Carolyn.
Carolyn.
Great. Thanks. Thanks, John. Thanks, Alejandro. Thank you.
Good to see you. Karuna, welcome to the call.
I just have to say, her smile was infectious. That was so
Right.
lovely, Carolyn. Oh my goodness, what a nice time.
Hi, Karuna. We can,
Energy. Can you hear me okay?
when
Yes.
you close it to the computer, yes.
Closer to the computer. All right, let me bring my chair closer. So I'm currently in Ashland, Oregon, and I've been here for about 12 years. And I was told that I was pretty close to my Pluto line, but that
Okay.
my chart could handle it, or I could handle it. And I'm like,
Okay.
oh my, I don't think I can handle it.
Let's start with your birthday. Let's get into this work.
October 13th,
Okay.
1960, 5:55 p.m., New Haven, Connecticut. And I know I am ready for that deep personal partnership. And I feel like that person is from somewhere else than here too. So I'm like, I've lived in a lot of different places throughout the States, and I'm just wondering if it's even the States for me or not.
So you're saying Oregon? You're in Oregon right now?
Ashland, Southern Oregon, Northern Cal.
In Ashland. All right. And then, okay, so I'm seeing a block to your emotional life on the
Here?
west.
Right
Yeah,
here.
the Pacific Northwest. She wants love, and the moon is blocked. Oh man.
I have been getting
I'm also seeing, I was mentioning earlier, I love to discuss in my work the beautiful interlay between divine, feminine, and masculine. And one of our listeners earlier, we were talking about this. You're not allowed to be in your divine feminine. There's something that, let me look here, because you said you're open. Let me see if I can find something here to inspire you by. Is there a place that comes to mind that you thought about?
not really. And when I've moved, like from Connecticut to New Hampshire,
Yeah.
I always kind of knew Denver to Durango. And then lately I'm like, lately it's been the last several years.
Okay, so I'm getting a ping on the East Coast. There's something about, I don't know if it's a romantic relationship, but there's important relationships for you on the East Coast. Is kind of what I'm really seeing. East Coast, specifically where you're from, Connecticut, which can seem obvious, but for you, it's very obvious. There's a lot of important relationships there. And let me see here if I'm picking up anything here. What are your sentiments with Portugal and Spain?
Yeah.
Because I feel like you can potentially, you might have a very kind of loving connection with somebody from Portugal and Spain is one thing that I'm picking up. Let me see before we connect. Okay, so I'm getting a ping there, Portugal, Spain, and then there's something about the East Coast. I don't know if I'm trying to see if I'm getting a message about you returning to the East Coast, but the East Coast has there's more femininity for you over there.
Like the whole coast? Or
Specifically the north, the northeast.
I say, oops, sorry. Well, you know what? I feel really excited because I've been wanting to find someone to take the next step and to explore this with. And I kind of feel like you are it because you've said several things like the divine feminine masculine. I've been so built into that for decades. So there's a few things that I'm I'm like, I need to meet with you. We need
Yes,
to.
yes, yes. Let's do it. Let's do it. Oh, thank you for tuning in, Karuna. Oh.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Alejandro, when Karuna was talking about a Pluto line,
Wow.
what does a Pluto line mean, and why did that seem potentially challenging?
It's a little bit further out than I was expecting. That being said, it still has an influence. And so I'm assuming, and I want to dive a little deeper into her chart, she does have some powerful Scorpio placements. So Pluto activates this. What happens with Pluto is that you bake your cake, John, and you're gonna get it out of the oven. You're like, it's perfect. And Pluto's like, we're still cooking. So there's this weird thing where there can be overcooking is kind of that metaphor that I'm getting. So I think she's done cooking.
And are there particular lines that we look for that are favorable in the different lines?
Correct. I like to
Like,
use the terminology harsh and harmonious. For
hmm,
me, it feels better. It feels like I can do things with that instead of uh, bad or good. And so if I see a Pluto line that has a square that's harshly afflicted, that can kind of like alarm me. Like if you're gonna take a trip there, I want to know how long, for what I'm gonna get very precise with you because that's kind of death energy, John.
right.
I've done a lot of readings where I've asked like, have you lost somebody in this region? Because I see uh so definitely with Pluto, I tap into the next life for sure.
Beautiful. In our community also, there's a few of us, I'm certainly one of them, that are called to specific places. We can call it grid keeping, energetic tending, whatever you want to call it. It being called there for
Yeah.
some type of energetic alignment, whether it's part of service, whether it's receiving um, calibrations from past life experiences, or what we're seeding for a future potential in the collective. Um, what can
Yeah.
astrocartography educate us with in regards to those particular callings?
John, I was born and raised in Miami, and I'm first generation American. And I felt growing up that I had an enormous amount of expectation from my lineage.
Mm,
And when I started to study astrocartography, there was kind of this like aha moment of sorts, but I'm trying to tap into like trying to describe it more of like an integrative. I think one of our listeners earlier, we were talking about her early life, the harshness of that. Um, and when I kind of started studying where I was from, I hadn't lived there in so long. I started to realize I had my divine masculine in jeopardy there.
mm,
So I can only spend maybe maximum 4 weeks, 6 weeks if I'm pushing it. If I were to want to move there, John, for whatever reason, I'd have to get very strict about who are my supports, whether it's a therapist or my own astrologer or Reiki, And so I think for that, John, um, first the acknowledgement. I think some of our community, especially some of the listeners here tonight, they need to hear that what they went through, like it's mapped. That's
yeah.
also something that I think the work sometimes when the archetypes are shifting in and out of our vessel, there's this impersonableness. This I'm trying to find the correct word. Um, Life is impersonal and it's the experience of the divine through the archetypes. And that's kind of what I stopped being angry at Miami and I started going, oh, I'm just supposed to have fun here. I need to be sporty. I need to work out. I need to tap into, so that's kind of what it is, John. Whereas before, there were some heavy years where I go back and be like, you know, arms crossed, heart closed. So this is an exploration of
Yeah.
potential. Yeah.
And finding the tools that support, but also potentially amplify what's possible. And so again, all this about getting familiar and being more intimate with what's inviting us there, then we have an awareness of how we can activate a part of us or receive, again, the assistance so that we can show up in a way that's harmonious with our integrity instead of being shut down and victimized by something that we don't understand.
Yeah.
So it's so important. This is huge. It's like this information is so invaluable. I want to go to Amber. Amber wrote in. So her birthday is June 18th, 1967, 10-ish a.m., born in Anchorage, Alaska.
Okay.
She didn't write where she is currently, but she's asking, what do I need to know going forth in the present moment? This
Amazing.
was
Let me look.
photography. And Amber, if you want to write where you are now, it could be beneficial as well. Let's see what spooky stuff Alejandro pulls up. I love that.
Okay, Amber, I'm seeing that I'm wondering if she's still in Alaska, but I'm getting
It's in Arizona, by the way.
okay, I didn't feel like she was gonna stay there. Let me see here in Arizona what I'm gonna ping. But anyways, just to kind of touch Alaska quickly, it's a very transformative place, almost too transformative. Interestingly enough, I would love to. What I'm seeing here is more of this Pluto theme that we've kind of been picking up. That being said, all in all, there's harmonious emotional connections in Alaska for her. And I'm sure if she has family and she returns, it's probably that. But there's something really special about Alaska I want her to remember. It's basically her connection to the divine almost. And I wonder if she does that through nature or if she actually agrees. I'm excited for her that she's in Arizona, right? We had said Arizona?
Yes.
Okay, great. Because that's what I'm seeing, Arizona. I'm seeing Jupiter, who we're so excited with the beautiful trine it's making to this new moon these next 3 days. Blesses her in Arizona. So all of that transformation that happens in Alaska gets transmuted into benevolent opportunities. And John, she has some luck on her side in Arizona. And the second thing, John, it's very similar to what I'm seeing with your chart in Egypt with regard to this destiny line. So Amber, I hope you feel like you're in a good place because I see really lovely things here.
Beautiful. All right. Blessings, Amber, on your journey.
Blessings, Amber.
All right. Let's continue here. Kathy, welcome.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Hi,
Yes.
Kathy.
Hi. I think I had a session with you a few years ago.
Yes. How
But
are you?
well, I'm okay. I'm
Oh, tell me.
kind of okay. So let's go. You need 7/18/63,
Okay.
San Francisco, 8:40 p.m.
That's right.
And you need where I'm at now. Is that what it is?
No, only if you want to share that.
Oh, well, I'm still in California. I'm not moving
Okay.
out of California that I'm aware of. I have my family and friends are here and I like it. So I am going to be moving
Okay.
and I'm looking to go a little bit northeast of San Francisco.
Okay.
And I want to know if that's going to be a good place because my son's a little further up north, but I don't want to move that quite that far up.
So Kathy, I'm seeing that the more north you go, the more connected you are with the more relationships in your life are harmonious, they feel good. So I like to hear that your son's just a little bit north. So you have what in astrological terms, you have the sun on your relationship sector. And I also see your mind is good here. Your mind is clear in this region. So I'm seeing the more north you get, the closer you get to this harmony, but it's not that much more north. So
I'm thinking of the Walnut Creek area. It's on
yeah,
it's
yeah,
yeah.
that's what I'm
So
seeing. It's positive. It's really positive.
Okay, that's good because I
I would
have.
actually say that I'm inclined to say that it's more, as I keep saying, more harmonious going north. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing.
Okay, because I'm in yeah, I feel like I've been stifled and my growth, and I mean I have online stuff and I have things, but yeah, I just feel like my inspiration, my creativity and all these things where I'm at has really been a hindrance, and I can't step into
Yeah,
what I know is coming,
yeah, yeah,
like, you know.
What I love about having access to this information and by being with someone who can read with clearly such an investment in your highest outcome. I mean, y'all can feel that from Alejandro, right? It's amazing. It's so transparent, which is lovely. But it's also sometimes hearing this could just be the fuel to inspire us taking that step that we've been hesitating to take, or maybe we didn't even know that door was open. We never thought about it. We're just kind of like in the I'm just gonna keep doing the same thing because the consciousness of the next thing isn't presenting itself. So
yeah,
sometimes the keys will show up through the amplification of what's in your field, what may be motivating you, through someone who can transmit in the way that Alejandro does by reading the systems and provoking something that if it pings true to your heart would inspire. It's like, hey, I'm doing something that I haven't been doing that can provide more of the vitality that's been missing in this life that I know I can have. Um, so
Right. And I love that he said that because I'll be honest, last year that popped in because I never thought that I would move out of San Mateo County. I lived there for 35 years. And
yeah.
um and so, it was just like I don't know, it just like dropped in, you know. So last year and I'm pretty sure that was it. And I just wanted to see. But thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
great.
Thank you.
I have a
Oh,
story
thank
to
you,
share about the
Kathy.
word never. I have an
Tell us.
initiation with that word. It can't be in my vocabulary unless I want that particular
Well,
thing.
I don't use that either anymore, but it was just something that I just
Yeah.
could see myself leaving, but I just don't have any ties there anymore.
Oh, it's okay for other people to use it. I just can't. I'm aware what happens. So I will never be
Yeah.
extremely rich, by the way. Let's see what happens. We'll see.
Kathy, we'll leave you with I just kind of looked here. April is after these eclipses in March, I'm seeing something positive in April if you're looking for a timeline.
Oh,
Beautiful.
awesome.
We'll
Thank
leave you with
you.
that. Oh,
Thank
so
you
good to
so
see you
much.
again. Thank
You
you for
too.
connecting.
Thank you.
Oh, such a pleasure.
Continue. Penny, welcome to the call.
So John, that was a
Yay!
nice
Oh,
Mars connection retrograde.
Penny, hold on a second, real
Hi,
quick.
Penny.
What were you going to say about Mars retrograde?
Correct. Kathy and I had pleasure of working a few years ago, and Mars kind of has brought us together again today, which is beautiful. That this is why I love these retrograde connections. How are you, Penny? So good
I am
to
wonderful, Alejandro.
have
Thank
you.
you, and John, thank you.
Welcome.
My birthday is
I see Venus inside of your home,
oh,
and so she
that's
requires
wonderful.
beauty and she requires nature. So
Yes.
I'm seeing a beautiful art piece behind you. I'm hoping the rest of your house has inspiration and color. Oh, I don't know. I don't know what I can probably look a little bit into your past, but your present is so filled with divine femininity. I'm seeing here the only disharmonious thing that I'm seeing in this region is it looks like you need just like it looks like you can benefit enormously from having some sort of counselor to talk about your thoughts with. Maybe it's a
Nice.
therapist, maybe it's a counselor. I'm seeing it could even be a friend on long walks that's like, but I'm seeing that you need, I don't know, I'm seeing you walking, but I'm seeing you processing things and
Yeah.
needing to be very conscious of that because your mind is sharp. But in this region, I do feel like getting that second opinion from a trusted source is the
Yeah.
message I'm getting here today. Penny, is there a place you're dreaming of going to I can look, or is there somewhere else I can look before
Well, my favorite trip recently was inside Thunder Mountain here in Sedona. That was a great trip.
Wow.
I went
Wow.
inside and met with some light beings and ended up making an oracle deck out of it, which was just mind blowing. And
Wow.
I'm so really just so entrenched in doing what I do here. I'm so captivated, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
But if I did go somewhere, it would be by the ocean. I was raised in Florida and I love walking on the beach.
Okay. Okay. And so I just got another ping just to finish off Arizona that it's a place where you can channel. It's a highly spiritual place. So I'm so happy that you
Yeah.
had that incredible download in Thunder Mountain.
Yeah, it was great.
You know, Florida is such a beautiful place for you. I don't see too many disharmonies. I really see and I'd love to kind of have a chance to kind of speak further about this, you know, your beautiful soul projects, because I do see that Florida, specifically the West Coast,
Hmm.
those walks on the beach, there's something that expands you. So I really hope you get a chance. I also see something with regard to longevity that I've touched upon earlier, that I look for specific meridians for long term. So,
Mhm.
so the southern east part of the states, which is pretty much all of Florida, with I think more of a specific, at least for me, the West Coast, is
Mhm.
getting a ping there.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much.
Oh, Penny, thank you for logging on.
Yes.
Thank you, Penny. All right.
Great.
Did you see
Thank
that
you,
cute
John.
cat? I'm sorry, I don't know if it's still there.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
Oh,
He's a
beautiful.
faithful companion.
Oh, well, blessings, blessings.
Thank you both.
You're very welcome. All right, Alejandro, we have Paula now. Paula
Amazing.
was born June 16th, 1971
Okay.
in Bonnyville, Alberta, Canada at 9:30 a.m. And she wants to know if she's in a good place for herself. And can you look at her zenith? Is there a zenith that pops up? And what would that?
I'm gonna do that.
Yeah,
Where did you say it, Alberta?
Bonnyville.
Bonnyville, that's what it was. And I'm gonna need that time one more time, John.
9:30 a.m.
Perfect.
So Alejandro, when you go into readings again, you're doing quick ones here, like 2-minute rapid fire at my insistence, because I want to go through as many as possible.
Yeah.
But with 50 minutes of you, it's like, what comes through?
You know, John, I really like to spend time checking in. I'm having a hard time finding Bonnyville. Bonn.
Bonny.
Oh, with the Y. There it is.
Okay.
And so, John, I spent time checking in. We visit the natal horoscope to kind of touch base. And then from there we can either jump straight into the mapping, or we take time with transits. It always feels so organic how it comes together. I record the sessions and I send it to the listener after our session so they can kind of revisit. I always tell people it's incredible what can kind of come up, and it's exciting to be able to connect with me on those full moon sessions, John, that are part of the package, because there is when, you know, I love to hear. My favorite thing is I was re-listening to the session.
Nice.
And it's lovely to have that.
Oh, amazing.
And then we're working with currently right now we're working with from
Paula.
Bonnet.
Yeah,
Sorry,
Paula.
Paula.
Bonnyville, yes.
Beautiful. Let me pull Paula's chart up.
And you know, the link for the special offer for the session for the meditation, for the full moon sessions drop-ins, the link for that's in the chat box. It's on the page where you're watching. And again, if you're on YouTube, look for the link in the chat box.
So Paula has a Venus zenith
Mm.
in the Yucatan of Mexico.
That just did something to my high heart for some reason. I love that.
Paula, I need you to fly into Cancun and book one of those beautiful tours in the cenotes. John, the asteroid that took out the dinosaurs made this Yucatan Peninsula a Swiss cheese effect of these natural water pools.
I didn't know there were asteroids that created that.
Amazing. You
Wow.
have to, I cannot. So anyways, Paula, please write to us about your trip. You have this gorgeous zenith there. Hopefully she can explore that. And she has another zenith. So Venus in the Yucatan, and then she has the sun over the Dominican Republic and those kind of British Virgin Islands. So if she was ever looking for a second home, I would probably recommend this region for the vitality and the sun and the fun. Yeah.
Do you ever connect that with like Atlantean and Lemuria energies, depending on where those energies land?
You know, John, I need to book a session with I forget the person on that you've hosted before, because I need to download. I'd love to integrate that kind of.
Right. Yeah.
I'm gonna look, and if I'll text you, maybe you can
Absolutely.
recommend somebody. And then for maybe one more message for Paula. Let me see here. I think that was it. I think that was it for now. Those two zeniths there. That's what I'm seeing.
Beautiful. I love that we tapped into that, because there's just those amplifications of possibilities. And zeniths, are those a place to live, or are those a place to receive like a ping? Why are they highlighted in those particular ways?
You know, the way that I've studied it, it's a representation of the highest concentration of that energy. So I do love how you're intuiting how it really could be a place for transformation, rejuvenation. I like to do I like to say sun zenith for a second home, you know, because you can go and inject yourself with sun and be there for a short while. That being said, John, very great perception around it being temporary. It could get a little bit too much. You're right, with all that energy.
That makes sense. Amazing. Alejandro, as we're wrapping up today's call, what would you recommend for everybody's listening, and we're listening to other people's charts and learning more about the different aspects? What is it that you can leave everybody with today if they don't participate in a session with you? What is it that they can bring into their awareness to navigate with these energies and use this type of mapping that's available to them?
I love this, John. I'm immediately getting this sense of wanting to share just how loved our community is. And really, I just find myself being a messenger of this incredible love that's available to us. And I'm really understanding that all of my fears and my confusion and depressions, they come from the lack of connection. And I want to remind us that suffering is real, and suffering severs and makes it difficult for connection. And then we have the beautiful message, John, that there's a life, there's a you know, specifically now that we're tapping into the year of the snake, we love this metaphor. What does the snake do best? It sheds. And so tonight, I want to leave everybody with this message that this love that's always available to you is going to be taken into action as you shed parts of yourself. You know, John, it was so interesting this morning as I was preparing and meditating for today's broadcast. Oh my God, John, it was like I was in 5 minutes of this pain in my solar plexus with regard to younger parts of myself that I'm mourning. And I really, you know, I stand here tonight with my heart open to everyone who needs that extra, you know, angel in their corner when they need to be reminded that their transformation is on the horizon. And it's really about remembering that love that's available to you, John, moment to moment.
That's beautiful. That's so that. Y'all, the special offer of Alejandro, links in the chat box, 2 payments. I hope you all take advantage of it. the metaphor in the year of the snake also, I want to anchor this in. And it's so important because it relates so much to this love that Alejandro is talking about. The snake doesn't have to work to shed its skin. It doesn't have to go through processes. It doesn't have to clear entities. It doesn't have to tap into the Akashic. It just does. It's in a natural rhythm of its own evolution and its divine intelligence. And it's being guided. And what guides that but love? Love.
Yeah.
It's powerful. It's powerful what comes through. And so understanding ourselves, like getting readings for me, I get to hear about my favorite subject, which is me. I want to know more about me as much as I can and understand the quirkiness and the intelligence and everything about it and how wonderful, because then we get to discover more of how we get to share the essence of who we be with a freedom and liberty of understanding why we are the way we are and what inspires us in particular ways. And so again, to understand these maps and these possibilities and what lights us up and what wants us to go in a cave and how they're all just part of the divine path that we're on is extraordinary. And working with someone like Alejandro, or specifically Alejandro, that can bring in again that vibrancy that you can feel from him. And whether you're in a winter place in one of your lines or in a summer, you can feel that that sun is always shining on your back. So it's so wonderful.
I love that, John.
Thank you
So
so
wonderful.
much for, again, just the love and the enthusiasm and the passion that you bring in. It's
John, I'm so proud. I can start, I could probably sob of joy and love. I'm so proud of our community. I'm proud of the way that they're showing up for themselves, showing up tonight, whether they're green, and I really believe that we are amplifying this message that in a time of, we're in a time of uncertainty. The world, the technology, and the way things are going, and we can kind of get into this tailspin of our mind, and the work is to come back to the body and to kind of center. And I really love John, again, what I'm seeing in our community, the way that we're going to be able to just continue to champion each other. I heal myself, I create a space of healing, and there's space for you. That's what I want to remind our listeners. There's space for us, there's love for us.
oh
I'm
yeah, we
overwhelmed.
want you
It's
to
so
take up
good.
space. Please take up space, y'all. Alejandro, thank you. You're a blessing, brothers. So good to see
Oh,
you. So
love you so
wonderful to have you
much,
on the
John.
show. Blessings to each and every one of you. Namaste. I love you guys. And I look forward to seeing you all on the next call. Bye, everybody.